the big tent for? We're all clear over here. And pass on our regards to General Albertson. Congratulations on the baby girl. The boys over here are rooting for him. And remember, we'll all be home soon enough. Ramlow, over and out. When I first enlisted in the Army, November 4th, 1941, the U.S. hadn't even officially entered the war. Pearl Harbor happened a month later, and that time, I had no idea where my adventure in the Army would take me. Certainly I had no idea I'd end up in the Alaskan territory. But yet, here I am, the signal operator in the Aleutian Islands. And it's a pretty important job. About 6 months after Pearl Harbor, the Japanese invaded and took over a couple of the Aleutian Islands off the territory of Alaska. And, well, our job now is to keep them away and keep Americans safe. The conditions here are pretty rugged. There's not really a lot of anything out here. It's desolate. There's snow-capped mountains. It's incredibly beautiful, but hospitable. The temperatures can get freezing cold, and, well, there's not really a lot of animal life. On occasion, some of the boys and I go out hunting and we'll snag a couple of Alaskan snow geese, but that's about it. To be honest, being out here isn't so bad. I mean, really, it's pretty quiet for the most part. We hear word about how things are in Europe. Hitler and the Nazis invading everywhere and all the death and the destruction, and, well, the boys and I feel pretty fortunate that we're pretty safe over here. Hopefully, it'll stay that way. And hopefully, before long, this godforsaken war will be over, and we'll all be back at home with our families. I miss my family. All of them way back in Minnesota. Feels like a lifetime away. But with any luck, we'll all be back there soon. All right, I think I hear another call coming on. I better get going. Ramlow here. Hey everybody, thanks for viewing the video. I wanted to take an opportunity to give you a little more information about my character interpretation. So in the video, I was actually portraying my grandfather, Fred Ramlow, who was in the United States Army during World War II and served as a signal operator in the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska. At the time, Alaska was just a U.S. territory. It was not yet a state. And there was definitely a fear of attack and invasion from the Japanese. So I was able to put together a digital photo album of his wartime photographs documenting his experience in time during the war. In the video that you had just seen, I was actually wearing his uniform. So that hat that you see in that photo there was the same hat I was wearing. And then the jacket coat is also the same one that he had as well that you'll see in future photos. If you take a moment to look back at the video, there was a green tin on the desk next to the radio I was using, and that tin was actually his World War II ammunition tin. So just a couple of fun things that I wanted to share with you. So hope you enjoy, and I'm gonna just give you a little bit more info about my grandfather. So he was drafted into the Army and enlisted on November 4th, 1941, and was released October 16th, 1945. So that's his handwriting there, filling out his draft card. Here was just a certificate that he had gotten when he had completed 4 weeks of instruction at the radar department school in Drewfield, Florida. A couple of badges, or patches rather. And then here's a couple of photographs from his time in Florida. And after he went to Florida, he headed up north, and he actually spent a good amount of time in Washington going to signal school at McCord Field. There's the entrance to the signal school. There's a picture of him wearing his McCord Field t-shirt. He had cut out this newspaper clipping from a crash that had occurred on that had included McCord Field flyers. I'm not sure if he knew the men that passed away in the crash or not, but it was something that he had kept for all these years. So this was from May 23rd, 1942. All right, and now the rest of the photos are from his time in Alaska in the Aleutian Islands. This photo is probably one of my favorites. You can see the men there playing what looks to be volleyball. They've got a volleyball net set up, and in the midst of war, there's still just a bunch of young guys that are trying to make the best of their situation. And as I said in the video, he certainly did enjoy hunting, and there were a fair amount of geese that he there has pictures of when he had hunted. I love in this picture, you can see in the left corner there, it looks to be an authentic Inuit canoe or something like that. The beautiful carvings in it, it's pretty cool. So my grandfather is the one, the farthest one to the left there on the end. That looks to me like they're holding up a bear skin. Here's a bunch of the crew here. I think behind him there is the barracks. It looks like they're just really like canvas tents, essentially. You can see what looks to be a cot there right in the entrance. Definitely see a lot of snow in some of these pictures. The conditions are pretty barren on the islands where he was. But they look like a group of guys who stayed in pretty high spirits. And I'm not sure at all who that is a photograph of, who he's holding, but somebody's kid. Looks like he's standing on top of some sort of a tank or something. And this picture, I do believe, is a picture of Anchorage back in the 40s. It would be like 1943, right around there. This picture is of a Alaskan Native, an Inuit woman who was a friend to the men at the base. And as the story goes, this is actually a picture of her funeral, and they had given her a ceremony. Here's a picture of my grandfather, and then his brother Eddie is on the other end, and two of his sisters in the middle. And there's the same uniform I was wearing, jacket. And then this was something that he had gotten on completion of his duties from the Alaskan Department Certificate of Commendable Service, awarded to my grandfather for their appreciation of 27 months of commendable service under conditions peculiar to the mainland and the Aleutian Islands of Alaska, requiring integrity, perseverance, and devotion of duty. So this was August 27th, 1945, when he was issued that. Then I thought this was cool as well. He also had a lot of signatures, and he actually even had an autograph book where he kept track of a lot of his friends from the Army. Kind of scroll through some of these here. All over the country. All right. So yeah, that was just a little bit more about my grandfather, Fred Ramlow, and just kind of fun to think about what they all went through, and to be thankful for all the service that all of our veterans have given. So thank you for listening, and if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me and ask, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.